friends, welcome back to my bathroom, or actually this is a different bathroom than the first time that I filmed, but anyway, today I'm going to be showing you my routine that I like to do when I want my hair to turn out a little bit nicer. It's a little bit more reliable in terms of results. Brush styling tends to get me a little bit more definition, so that's what we're kind of going to be going for today. This is also going to be pretty similar to the video previously posted in terms of what I'm doing, and a lot of the products used might be pretty similar as well, but I have kind of changed things up a little bit, so that's why my mom wanted me to come back and do an updated one of these for you. And then I'm also going to be doing more of like my lazy routine, what I just do when I want to be fast and not mess around with brush styling. So to start off, just before I started filming, got out of the shower, I put my hair in like a shower cap to keep it wet as wet as possible. It did dry a little bit. It's not as dripping as what I'd like it to be. So I'm going to add a little bit more water into it here. I'm just using a spray bottle, just plain water. The goal is to make my hair like sopping wet, as if I would have just gotten out of the shower. So that's what we're gonna get going on. And then I'm gonna take, this is the keratin brush. I like this one for kind of detangling right out of the shower. So I'm just gonna comb through it, detangle, make sure that water is evenly distributed. And I just start from the bottom of my hair and move kind of up when detangling. Today when I showered, it was a clarifying day for me, so I used the Malibu Sea Undo Goo, which is this stuff right here. And then I put in this Moroccan oil hydration mask. This is super good. My hair loves this stuff. Very hydrating. Another thing too, when I wash my hair, I don't focus too hard on like fully rinsing out whatever conditioner or mask I have in there. If there's a little bit extra in my hair when I come out of the shower, I don't see it as like a huge deal. So right now, like this side, I can feel it has a little bit of that mask still left over in there. It's not gonna hurt anything, I don't think, hopefully. Okay, so my hair's pretty sufficiently wet right now, I would say. But if I need to go back in and add some water, I will. First product I like to go in with is the Keratin Hyaluronic Acid Detangling Spray. This one is heat protectant as well, so that's kind of cool. And I'll do maybe like 10 to 15 sprays a side. I try to do it somewhat consistently, and then I'll go in immediately after and brush that through and make sure that it kind of reached all the hairs. I try not to use too much of that spray. This is my hair isn't a huge protein lover. I've got very coarse hair, so I don't need tons of protein in there. So I try to go pretty light with it on my routine. And I think when overused, this product can give a film to the hair. Now what I like to go ahead and do is put in some leave-in conditioner. This is the Wavy Whipped Curls. This is the same stuff that I used before in my previous routine. I really like this stuff. My hair really likes this stuff. I use about that much on this side of my hair. I have slightly less hair on my right side than my left side. So I put in a little bit less over here. I just try to get that in again as evenly as possible. And I feel my hair is starting to dry a little bit more. There's not as much water in there as what I would like. So I'm gonna go ahead and add back in a little bit of water. Since bleaching my hair a little bit to Diet Purple, it has started to dry just a little bit faster. So I just need to add water a little bit more often than I did before, but it's really not that much of a difference. Now that that's nice and in on that side, we'll go ahead and do just a little bit more, like that much on the other side of my head. That might be too much, but we'll see. That was pretty good. And this side is also just a little bit less wet than I would like for it to be, so. Okay, So next step is going to be curl cream. So this is the AG Details Defining Cream. It looks like that. This is a newer addition to my routine, but I do really like it so far. I think I've been using it for a couple weeks now. And like most AG products, it smells delicious. So probably use about this much, maybe a little more on my right side. And then for my left side, of course, I'll use a little bit more again on that side. I feel like I could use a little bit more, so I'll just add maybe that much more. Adding a little bit more water again and combing that through. And then the other side, using about that much. Alright, so now that we've got all of the creams and moisturizing products in, what I will now do is add just a little bit of gel. So I have the Wavy Vita Curl Plus gel. This is the same gel that I've used in the last video. It's pretty much been my favorite gel for like 3-4 years now. I can't stop using it. It makes my hair feel really hydrated. It locks in my curls really well. Yeah, so I just use like a pump of that on the left side before I go ahead and start brush styling. I do this because I don't really have problems getting my curls to clump, but I do have problems with my hair frizzing after I've brush styled it if I don't put a gel in before brush styling. And then for my right or my left side, I will do like a pump and a quarter or a pump and a half of gel and put that in. The other purpose that this serves is because I start on my right side of my head where I have less hair, dries a little bit faster over there. Putting the gel in on the left side of my head while I'm working on the right side of my head allows it to not develop any sort of like wet frizz or anything like that while I'm working on the other side. And then as usual, we're just gonna be brushing that through. Now we're gonna go ahead and start doing the brush styling. I'm gonna be using this brush today. Since my diamond brush, the teeth got a little wobbly from years of use. I don't like it as much anymore. We're just gonna be using this one. This is the same one that my mom uses, I believe, as well. I will also sometimes use this one, which is a boar bristle brush. It also has like some metal or like plastic bristles in there as well. But this one's a little bit harder for me to work with personally, so I'm just gonna go with this one today. So what I do in terms of sectioning my hair is I just like to start at the back, and I always have my hair split in half into, you know, my right side and my left side. And then I will just start from the back of that section. So I will just grab a chunk. I try to make it about the width of my curls, but it's usually about like this big in terms of sectioning. So I will just section it off, and then I'll run it through the brush a couple of times just to make sure it's really detangled and smooth. And I'll do that on both sides. Once it's detangled on both sides, I'm gonna go on the right side of my head. I go towards my face because that's the direction that my curls naturally grow out. On the left side, I will go away from my face. And I will just brush it out, and at the end, I'll kind of like pull the brush inward a little bit to encourage it to kind of curl. And then I will shake the piece that just came out of the brush, and then we scrunch. Just a little bit of scrunching here, not too much. And we'll take that piece, put it back. And again, making sure my hair is soaked for this so that it glides through really nicely. And so that when we move on to the scrunching in a minute, it's gonna be making that squeaking sound.
So something I just want to talk about while we're watching her brush style her hair. She does have a little bit of drag to her hair, I can see as I'm watching her brush it. And part of this is using gel to brush style. It can increase the drag on your hair, but not always. It can still glide through pretty easily. It just depends on the gel. But the other reason, and probably the bigger reason, is the texture of her hair, or actually the feel of her hair. So we both have coarse hair. Coarse does not mean rough automatically. It just means the diameter of your individual hair strand is extremely large, and we both have very coarse hair, meaning that the diameter of our hair strands is extremely large. However, my cuticle on my hair tends to lay very flat and smooth, so my hair is very soft and slippery, and hers does not lay quite so flat, and it is definitely not soft and slippery. Also, she has a very dry scalp. I have a very oily scalp, so my natural sebum does a better job of conditioning my hair, and she has very little sebum, so her hair does not benefit from that condition. So that's why her hair likes more moisturizing products and my hair likes more protein heavy products. So I just wanted to pop in here and mention that as we're going along. Carry on, Kaylee.
When I get to the front section here, you might have just saw I just denned and brushed this piece here. I'm not going to scrunch that piece on its own because that piece doesn't scrunch well on its own. It just starts looking stupid. So I wait until I do these pieces to scrunch this one. And with these pieces, I do like to finger coil them because again, they like to look stupid. So I just like to find where they want to separate. It seems to be like right there for that one. And I'll just go up to the root and just finger coil it. I don't always do this. I will sometimes use the brush on the front pieces, but if I want them to turn out a little bit better, I will usually do this. And then once they're all finger coiled, I'll just scrunch these front pieces. And some of the pieces that I already scrunched and brushed will come forward as well, and that's fine. The more the merrier, actually, for this part. So there, they scrunched a little bit better. Now that this entire side has been brushed out and kind of scrunched a few times, what I will do now at this point is I will go ahead and add in another half to full pump of gel. So I'll just do that. And what I will do here, let me fix that piece, is I will just do kind of praying hands first. So like this. Just make sure every piece is kind of coated. And then I make sure that it's between my fingers, and I'll just lightly kind of finger comb through the curls or the waves like that. And then I will take my hands and I will scrunch. So you can kind of hear that like squelching sound a little bit there, which is a good sign that we have some good water in there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. So now we're gonna go over to the other side. It does need a little bit more water because we've been sitting. So I'm just gonna add that first. Then once that side is sufficiently saturated, I will go ahead and start grabbing my sections. So I try to make these about the same size as the ones on the other side. So, like that. And we're just gonna do the same thing that I did on the other side. So, brush in on both sides to make sure that there's no little tangles or frizzies, anything like that. And then the only difference between the two sides is, again, is that on this side, I will just do away from my face instead of towards my face. So that is the way that these like to curl. If I run into pieces that seem to be like tugging a little bit more like this one, I might put in a little bit more leave-in. Not quite that much. But just like a little scotch like that. get that in that piece of hair. And sometimes it's just from that hair being too dry. And then I'll also add a little bit more water again. And then same thing on this side. I'm finger coiling some of these front pieces and not scrunching individually. And then again, same thing with the gel on this side. Just separating the two sides once again, making sure to coat everything evenly with gel, or as evenly as possible. This side I'll just use a full pump of gel. Again, have a little bit more hair on this side, just a little. And same thing, some praying hands. Then we're gonna go in between my fingers and then scratch. And then once both sides have been brush styled and scrunched, what I will go ahead and do is put my hair up in this thing. This is just like a microfiber towel. My mom got a 2-pack from Target a couple years ago, but essentially I'll just like pile my hair all in one spot, kind of in the middle of this. So it's like basically right on top of my head, just all of it in one spot, kind of replicating, almost scrunching it when it's up on top of my head. And then I'll just wrap it around, and I'll usually leave that in for anywhere from like 5 to 20, 30 minutes, just depending on what I'm doing. Sometimes I'll put my hair into that and then I'll go cook dinner and then I'll come in here and I'll diffuse, but whatever the case may be, just a few minutes to 30 minutes. And then I'll go ahead and take it out and I'll come back and show you that in a little bit. So we're back to finish it off here. So as you can see, still got my hair in this thing. Just gonna take that out. And that's what the hair usually looks like. So I'll just kind of straighten it out a little bit. Sometimes pieces can get a little stuck together, a little wonky. We're gonna go ahead and do some mousse. So we've got the Surface Curls Firm Styling Mousse. This is what I like to use when I'm trying to get more definition and hold, because it does have a really nice hold. So I'll use probably about that much on the right side of my head. And I'm just gonna kind of praying hands it through a little bit. Use my fingertips to kind of get between the clumps. Make sure it's nice and coated. And then there's usually a little bit left in the palms of my hands. Just kind of spread that out a little bit, and then we'll scrunch. And this is usually when I will really take my time scrunching, making sure we've got some nice formed waves. So yeah, you can kind of tell the difference it makes between scrunching for quite a bit. You can see it's starting to spiral a little bit more versus what it looks like kind of just out of the towel thing. So once I've scrunched to my heart's content, I will take the hairspray. So this is the Surface Impulse Finishing Spray. I'm just gonna do a few spritzes of this. Just gonna get the product off my hands first. And then I'll kind of scrunch again a couple more times. Make sure we're fully coated. And then do the same thing on the left side. This time using, again, just slightly more mousse, not that much. And this stuff puffs up quite a bit, so it lasts a pretty long time actually. Hairspray. So after I have scrunched in the mousse and sprayed the hairspray, what I will do is I will go ahead and start diffusing my hair. So the way that I do it is for the first 5 to 10 minutes, I will be kind of sitting crisscross applesauce on the floor, and I'll bend over and I'll kind of pile my hair in front of me like this. And that way, with my hair being longer and wavy and coarse, it's got a lot of weight to it. So as you can see, like, it's getting weighed down even as I'm just sitting here standing. So kind of bending over like that helps a little bit, and then I'll just focus the diffuser on my roots while I'm bent over like that. And then I'll kind of lean up every once in a while and hover the diffuser kind of like this, so that it starts getting the ends a little bit crunchy. And then after 5 to 10 minutes, like I said, of that, when the ends are kind of crunchy, they've got the cast going on, and my roots are drier, then I'll kind of flip up and I'll stand up. And then what I'll do is I'll kind of move the hair from side to side like this, and I'll go throughout my head and I'll scrunch it while I have the diffuser hovered next to my hair. So that's gonna be about the process. Like I said, I'm not gonna film it all. And then from there, what I will go ahead and do is diffuse to about 50%. I get really bored while drying my hair, so I can't really stand doing it for much longer than that. So once it's diffused to about 50%, then I'll just kind of air dry the rest of the way. It usually takes probably 5-6 hours the rest of the night until it's dry. Sometimes I'll flip on my fireplace and then I'll help speed it along. And then I will just sleep in the cast. What I'll do is I'll put my hair up in a scrunchie, just in like a very loose bun, and I'll sleep with the cast on it so that it doesn't get disturbed or anything like that. And then I'll actually check in with you in the morning to show you my process of breaking the cast and what that kind of looks like. All right, so it is the next morning. I've taken my hair out of the scrunchie that I left it in overnight. We've still got a decent cast going on. It's not super crunchy right now, but definitely can feel it's still on there, which is what I like. I'm not actually gonna go ahead and break the cast this morning because I'm going over to my mom's, where she's gonna be doing like a trial of my hair. It's just gonna be a recreation of what she did on my wedding day. So I'm gonna let her break the cast since she's gonna be in there and manipulating it anyway. But what I typically will go ahead and do when I'm breaking the cast is I will take either, I like this Coarse bonding oil, or I'm a big fan of the Moroccan oil. This is just a regular kind, not the one for fine hair. And I'll usually take, probably with the bonding oil, 4 or 5 pumps per side, and then I'll kind of smooth it over like this, and then I'll even do a little bit of scrunching. And with the Moroccan oil, I usually use 2 to 3 pumps aside, do the same thing. And then what I'll end up doing is I'll flip my head over like this and kind of shake out the roots with a little bit of oil in my hands. And that's usually gonna be about what I'll do to go ahead and scratch out the crunch. Like I said, won't be doing that today, but that's kind of my typical routine. So that kind of concludes it. The only other thing that I would say that I do on a regular with my wash days is sometimes in the evening after I finish showering, I'll go ahead and I'll just take a little bit of gel, like half a pump, and make a liquidy version of it, just water it down quite a bit, and then I'll kind of glaze it over my hair and just create a cast for it at night, so that then when I put it up in the bun overnight, it kind of holds its curl a little bit better. I don't do that all the time, but if I have something going on the next day or something like that, and I want to make sure that my hair stays like nice, I'll go ahead and do that. So anyway, thanks for coming along for my routine. I'll probably be seeing you guys soon in my lazier routine.
Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and as always, thank you for watching.